Okay, you guys, listen. It's about to be a 2-for-1. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it. This is my review for the haves and the have-nots. As I said, this is getting ready to be a 2-for-1 because this is season 7, episode 8 and episode 9. Last week, I had a kerfuffle, so I didn't do a review for last week, but I wasn't getting ready to just leave you hanging like that. So we're going to start with episode 8, and then we're just going to maneuver right on into episode 9. And child, listen, it's Tyler Perry, so you know it's not going to be too long because he does long scenes. I don't do long reviews when it comes to Tyler. But anyway, let's get started. Jeffrey and Madison. Okay, so you know they done had their whole little sex thing. David walked in on them and left and all of that. Madison was telling Jeffrey, you got to get more comfortable with yourself. You have to get in your mind that you being gay is not wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. That you got to become okay with yourself, and then everything else will just fall into place. So they go through that whole thing, and like Jeffrey was saying, it's one thing to know that it goes on. It's another to see it going on. And I agree. Nobody wants to see. They don't want to see their parents getting down, and nobody wants their parents to see them getting down. Unless something wrong with you. But anyway, and then when it comes to boys and their dads, I'm sure that dads take it a little better if their son is the one that's not on the bottom. But anyway, whatever. Because Miss Jeffrey, and we had a little back and forth, you all. They kept saying, oh no, I think it was this, that, and the other. Y'all can say what y'all want. Y'all go back and look at the scene. Honey, Madison was tearing Jeffrey's box up, honey. That's what was going on. Y'all go back and look at it, honey. Jeffrey was getting it, honey. And then this next comment lets you know that Madison was tearing Jeffrey's box up. Jeffrey told Madison, I want you to buy me dinner because I was so good. Bend your knees and touch your toes, honey. Moving on. That was that. Madison was leaving the house, and David couldn't even look at him because David knew that Madison was tearing Jeffrey's little box up, honey. And David was sitting on the couch with his back to Madison. Madison over the top. I said, David, you gonna stop playing? And Madison, you gonna stop playing with David? Talking about, yeah, I just standing here making you uncomfortable. He was like, you can go now. I was like, oh, Madison, I don't like that little game you playing. Anyway, but Jeffrey ended up coming down, and he's like talking to David, and David's kind of like blowing him off. And I'm like, Jeffrey, just go ahead and apologize to your father and then give him a moment. I feel like he deserved an apology. I mean, not that you did anything wrong, but the fact that he walked in the room and seen that y'all got some boundaries that y'all got to set up in that. And I would apologize for the discomfort, not for the fact that I was doing it, but for the discomfort. Well, first of all, see, we can go into a whole nother thing, but I said this ain't going to be no long review because it's 2 weeks. First of all, I wouldn't be screwing in my father's house. I'm 48 years old, and I've never had sex in my parents' house. I ain't getting down with that. I just can't get with that. I think I'm probably the only child that didn't. I'm the only one that has that issue, has an issue of I'm different than the rest. But I just feel it's not right to be laying up in your parents' house. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So I just think you should just apologize for the discomfort of it all, and then give his dad some time, and then let it be what it be. Moving on. Veronica. Child, Celine goes to see Veronica, and they get to talk about honey, and they get talking, and she's telling her, make me a drink. And I'm like, Celine, you are a client. She should be making you a drink. She's going to get some money from what she's doing for you. It's not the other way around. So she has Celine making her drink. Then when they get into it, she's like, Celine, this ain't even about you, girl. I don't care nothing about you. I don't care if you can't feed your people, your kids. I could care less. I could care less. This is about me. I want to see the criers penniless and begging on the streets. And Celine's like, well, I don't know. You know, this, that, thing, and the other. I'll think about it. She's like, what is there to think about? Girl, take them for all they're worth. Celine said, I'll think about it. She's leaving. Veronica was like, you're a dumb bitch. I said, oh, geez. Veronica is just rude. No filter. No nothing. She's just rude. Anyway, moving on. Landon and Oliver. They got into this whole little thing. Because, of course, Landon shined in front of Charles, and Oliver looked like an idiot. Oliver told Landon, you like to make me look bad in front of him, don't you? And then told Landon, you should be careful with that. Landon was like, is that a threat? He was like, boy, get somewhere and go somewhere and sit down before you get tore up. I was like, oh my God. So then we seen Charles with the Attorney General, and he literally told him, I literally called you here so I could fire you face to face. I called you here to let you know that you're fired. He's like, isn't that how this is done usually? He was like, well, you know, sometimes people keep their Attorney General. He's like, but most times people have their own. They bring in their own Attorney General. This is one of those times. You're fired. You're leaving, honey. That's that. I said, oh, that Charles, honey. So, and then of course, you know, Charles knows everything that the Attorney General has done. And he ended up later on sending his guy over to see the Attorney General. That's in the next episode, but we're going to talk about it. Just hold on. Okay, so this is about Hannah and Catherine. Hannah finally gets there. They actually let her go back to where the cells are. Wyatt's talking to Hannah, asking her, can you pray for me? I'm really sorry. Can you tell my dad I said I'm sorry? Child. Catherine told Hannah, he is not remorseful. He'll say anything to try to get out of here, but he's not. But he's not, period. So they take her out. They get to go to the back room. She told her, I need you to take over all my assets. Of course, Hannah's like, what? She's like, yeah, I just need you to do this. She's like, Candace needs to give that money back to Jim, because if not, he's going to be all over her for that money, because he's not going to have anything. Literally, he's going to have to come to you, Hannah, to be able to buy a candy bar. She says, so it is what it is. Have fun with it. Get a little revenge. You have to admit, it's got to feel good that he's going to have to come to you for anything that he needs. And she says, and that, you know, that will definitely keep Benny. He'll leave Benny alone. Everything's going to happen with that. He's going to leave Benny alone. Then we go back over Charles' house and we see Landon and Oliver. Them two's at it again. Honey, this time, Landon that made Oliver cry. Made him cry, baby, and said, you're a little rich kid from D.C. You didn't work to get here. You know, child, all his little insecurities came flood. I said, oh, these two. You know what I actually think? I think that Oliver and Landon are going to really get into it. But I got this sneaking suspicion they're going to sleep together. Because, you know, Landon's a slut. I just got a feeling that they're going to end up getting down. And I think Landon going to slip up and Oliver going to do something to Landon. He going to do something. He going to get the upper hand on Landon in some way, shape, or form. Because Oliver always falls in it. You know, he's meat crazy child. But I got a feeling that the two of them are going to end up having each other. But anyway, moving on. Mitch and Benny are running around trying to convince Candace not to give the money back, to go ahead and take off. I'm like, that just so doesn't seem like a good idea. Jim and David meet up with each other. Child, and I don't know why David did this, but David tells Jim about Jeffrey. And of course, Jim's all like, well, whatever. You know, he's gay, so what the hell? I'm like, oh, God. But then, come on, coming from Jim, like I said, Jim's son has had more penis in him than the whole Fruit of the Looms company, honey. So, I don't even know why you talk to him. They talked about George, and Jim said, that's very dangerous. Our fingerprints are on everything that you're using to get at Veronica through George. I don't like that. He's like, you need to let me go on a killer. And he's like, are you talking about like a domestic terrorism type of thing? He was like, oh, yeah, you don't need to know. He's talking about like a plane crash or like something really big just to take out Veronica. Jim is crazy as hell. Crazy as hell. And David's like, all right, just go ahead. I just don't want to know. A mess. Next thing you know, a little bit after that, Veronica rolled through, baby. Veronica, she just puts the icing on the cake, and David's like, look, go on, kill her. She go in there and tells Jim, remember the 2 times that we had sex? You and your little PP? I said, Lord have mercy. David was over there boiling hot. You hear me? Boiling. And he's like, you don't believe her, David, do you? This, that, and the other. So when Veronica leaves out, he says, you don't believe her? He says, yes, I believe her. And I just wanted to let you know that I slept with Catherine on your wedding night. Jim said, well, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it. Jim don't believe him at all. Wouldn't it be a child? Jim didn't believe him, but David definitely believes that Jim slept with his wife, and he should. After that, Jim gets a phone call, baby, and finds out that Candace does a wire transfer. All she literally gave him was $8.35. She put the rest of the money in an account, $1 million in an account for Benny, and she kept the rest. Hot mess. All while they're at the bank, Benny's acting all ignorant and stupid. You know, I just can't with Benny. I'm so sick of him. As cute as Benny is and all of that, it's gotten to a point where I can't even stomach his scenes. He gets on my damn nerves. He really does. So they're down there, like I said, she leaves him $1 million, she keeps the rest, and wires Jim $8.35. Listen, we're moving now. Here's where we crescendo over into season 7, episode 9. Okay, let's go. So Benny's trash, like I said. He's about, can you, when he finally figures everything out, give me $100,000 in cash to take with me? Just ghetto. What do you need to have $100,000 in cash for? Just stupid. Anyway, so Candace is saying she don't know where she's going, New York, LA. She don't know, but she's going to be rolling out. They don't know what they're going to tell their mother. I said, I bet y'all don't. I bet y'all don't. A whole mess. George goes and sees Veronica. Baby, she still, remember when they had that last time they seen each other and they had that little racial thing back and forth. Didn't she ask George, hey George, did you bring any fried chicken? I said, you know what? A mess. So they had their little exchange. George is like, well, I have an invite to go talk to David, and he's going to give you up. And she's like, George, they're playing with you. They're playing with you. Everybody knows that you ain't shit. And nothing's going to work for you. And they're playing with you. Playing right in your face, George. And she's like, but really and truly, she didn't got nervous. But she got a poker face. So George ends up leaving on out of there. She calls David and tells David, really? So you going to see George? All right, David, bring it. He said, I'm going to bring it. I'm coming for you. She said, yeah, whatever. She said, I don't understand what the big problem is. He said, you tried to kill me and Jeffrey. He said, you fighting for that girl? That girl is not your son. I told you that before. He might be Jim's. And honey, that damn David said, you pathetic whore. I said, oh my. He told her, I'm coming for you. She gonna say, the way I came for Erica, bang, bang, boom, honey. I said, oh! out. I said, oh, Veronica. She got off the phone with David, but you could tell she's nervous. She's like, what does he get ready to try to do, honey? She's nervous. She's nervous, and she should be. Anyway, so the little guy that kidnapped Benny rolls in there to see Jim. Jim done cussed him out. He told him the Malones got him, and he's gone. Jim was like, you're an idiot. Get out. I was like, oh, Lord. A mess. So right in there is where he actually had received his phone call. I told you all about the phone call. But right after that is when he got the actual phone call knowing about his $8.35. So shortly after that, then here comes Candace through the door. And Candace tells him, I'm not giving you anything. And he's like, do you know what I'll do to you and your mother and your brother? She's like, whatever. Ain't nothing going to happen, baby. When you got the right people on your side, it's no issue. She said, I got somebody to come that wants to talk to you. She walks out, and in walks Mitch, honey. He's like, the Malones. So the Malones, like, Jim was like, Mitch, the Malones, your grandmother doesn't like black people. You thought I didn't know that? He's like, she doesn't, but she likes Candace. So I'm telling you, you need to let this go. Leave them alone, because all I'm going to do is just go to my grandmother and tell her that whenever you came for Benny, I got caught up in the crossfire. Do you know what my grandmother will do to you, Jim? And he was like, so you just want me to just let $8 million go like that? He's like, yeah, let it go. I was like, oh my God. He went on out of there. I said, all right, Mitch, you're getting slimy like the rest of them now. So let's go on over here and talk about the senator, our little senator, and the attorney general. Baby, the two of them, they were going at it, honey. He was sitting up there and sitting in his seat when he got in his office. He's like, oh, said I didn't expect to see you here. He's like, oh yeah, I came to see you personally because you know, you did some things. I know the things that you did with my guy. He's like, who, Charles? He's like, oh. He's like, yeah. So he starts talking to him. The attorney general tells him about rumors about him drinking a lot. And he was like, and told him some of our days are coming sooner than others. And he was like, oh. He said, you know, I never liked you. I never liked you. Not at all. And he said, and you need to know that we don't have short-term memories. Me and my guy, Charles. We don't have short-term memories. We really, really don't. And the attorney general was like, yeah, well, whatever. He was saying, I want you to keep that arrogance that you have, but I hope that you have dotted all your I's and crossed every T. Because I think I'm just going to open up an investigation on you and your full entire staff. And you know, when I go back over your whole term, you know, I'm sure I can find something. I said, oh, he's going to be something else. I said, oh, my. I said, okay. So let's leave there, go back over Veronica's house. She done called in for some maids to be interviewed. When I tell you, she was just being rude as hell to these people. It didn't make any sense. She was like, get her out of here. I don't like her. Bye. Exit through the garage. I was like, oh, no, she didn't. Then she gonna say, and that bitch looked like she steals. I said, Veronica. Then she said, I want someone black who favors me. They bring this pretty black girl, and she will say, she can go on through the garage too. I said someone black that favors me, not my mother. Get on out of here, honey. I was like, oh my. So the lady was like, you know, you can't do that. That's discrimination, and it's very racist. She's like, you know, people can actually seek legal counsel for that. She says, honey, you don't know me, huh? I'm a lawyer, honey. I do what I want. None of that's going to happen. Whatever. Now get me some black girls in here that look like me, honey. So she said, I got somebody just coming. A girl coming. She will say, okay. She says, yes, hi. My name is Laura. Can you clean, honey? She's looking at her. She's like, yeah, girl, you about my size and everything? Yeah, girl. She said, you're hired, Linda. She said, it's Laura. She said, like I said, Linda. I said, oh, she's so rude, honey. And then she immediately, you know, the lady and all the other girls, she immediately started grooming this woman. I said, is she going to sick her on Jeffrey next, honey? Start grooming her. She said, I need these clothes taken to the Goodwill. And she's like, you know, she said, ma'am, there's some of these clothes, a lot of them have the tags on. She says, Yes, I didn't get to wear them, and the season is over. So, take them to the Goodwill. And she's like, oh, okay. She says, do you like them? She said, yes, yes, ma'am. They're beautiful. She says, would you like to have them? She's like, are you serious? She says, I'll give them all to you on one condition. You have to wear them to work every day. She says, I can't work in these clothes, ma'am. She says, no, you'll just come and then you'll wear them and you'll change them once you get here. So the girl was like, oh my gosh. She was like, what's that shoe you wear? She said, a 6.5. She was like, girl, I'm a 6.5. She said, here, try these shoes on. She's like, oh, these are kind of big. This feels kind of like a 9. She gonna say, they're not big and they're a 6.5. She's like, oh no, I don't know, kind of big. She said, they're not big. I said, oh girl, she got it real quick. You don't disagree with her, honey. She's crazy. It's cat shit, honey. I said, Lord have mercy. Just a mess. A mess. So she got her, she's grooming her, honey. I said, oh Lord. So then we go on over here. Jeffrey is sitting there. Justin then pulled on up to David's house. I said, Lord have mercy. If David see Jeffrey and Justin, he gonna kill Justin. Justin goes up there. He goes to talk to Jeffrey, telling Jeffrey about Veronica and all the stuff that was going on with him and how she won't stop. Jeffrey's like, that's my mom. You already know. You know what she gives, this, that, thing, and the other. So he was like, you did this to me, this, that, thing, and the other. He's like, well, I'm sorry. He's like, you are so cold. And where are you going? Why are you all dressed up? Is this because of him? He was like, what are you talking about? Child, just go on. And he's brushing him off. He gonna say, well, you did this. You started all this. And he kept saying, sorry, goodbye, and this, that, and the other. Jeffrey was like, bye. You know, because Jeffrey done moved on. Honey, Madison done lit Jeffrey's little box up. I tried to tell y'all. So he was like, Justin leaves. He gonna say, what are you up to? I was like, child, either Justin is going to attack Madison, or I got a feeling that he's going to commit suicide. I think he's going to kill himself, but I got a feeling he's going to take Madison out too. Because we got to have, it's always got to be some strife with Jeffrey and something else to make Jeffrey mad as hell at Veronica. I got a feeling that we get ready to lose 2 characters. I think by the end of this season, Justin's going to take himself and Madison out. Or either he going to take Madison out and he ain't going to die, but he going to be trying to do it with his old screwball self. Anyway, last thing. We can get on out of here. Wyatt and Catherine, they both in their cells across from each other. Wyatt tells her, I want to die. She like, oh boy, shut up with that foolishness. And then he shows her he got this toothbrush and he Jimmy jacked his toothbrush up. And she's like, what are you doing, Wyatt? Charlie goes and he slits his wrist, honey. And she's over there like, Wyatt. I said, girl, you supposed to just sit there and watch him bleed out, honey. Ain't nobody think about Wyatt, child. Ain't nobody think about Wyatt. But Catherine's getting ready to fall apart. I said, oh. Anyway, that's it. I'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for watching, you guys. And sorry about the whole week late thing, but we got it. We got it all in. I'll see you guys next week. Later.